Okay. So what should you expect at the end of the day? It's answering questions that you may have about getting into the programs. How do you apply? So we would also do a real life scenario of applying into an accelerator program. We'll do that right on the call. We'll analyze a Y Combinator application that is made public for everyone to see. And then we'll analyze 2 video applications that people have used to get into accelerator programs. So the key questions I'll be looking to answer through this presentation will be, 1, do I need venture funding for my startup? Because before you start talking about getting into an accelerator, one, we may want to pay attention to whether your startup or your business actually needs venture funding. The second thing is an accelerator program best for my company? The third one is, how far should my startup get to before I apply to an accelerator program? The fourth one is, when is the best time to apply to an accelerator program? The fifth one is, which programs should I apply to? Which accelerator program should I apply to? The sixth one is, how do you make your application stand out so that it is selected for you to get into the interviews? So in answering the first question, do I need venture funding for my startup? When looking at setting up a business, one of the things I say to entrepreneurs very early on is, you have to think of your exit strategy from the beginning. And that will help you decide how you fashion out that business, how you create the business, who your partners will be in the business, who your team members will be in the business, and who you should bring on board as investors. Some business, and the truth is, all exit strategies are right. There's none that is wrong, depending on the founder, depending on the timing, whatever it is that your ambition is for that startup, all strategies are fine. Now, the first one that people would say is they want to build a business to sell fast. If you have that mindset that you're looking at building a business to sell fast, it means that the investors you're bringing on board will be short-term investors. These are people that want to invest and make their quick returns over the next 2 to 3 years when you sell the business, or when you push the business to further funding that then opens up more equity for you to give them back some decent returns. If you're building a business to go public, it also influences how you're able to take on capital, how fast you do that, how fast you grow, and how much tenacity you will have to stay the long haul to get it to a public company. Or let's say you're just building a business empire. You want to build the next Dangote. It will influence how you take on capital and who you should be taking capital from. It will influence who will be investing in your business. So if someone is looking at the next Dangote to invest in them, they have to wait, 15 to 20 years before the Dangote becomes Dangote. They have to be patient to see that business grow through time. They are not going to be the investors that want to invest and in 2 years they want their money back. And so that exit strategy helps with influencing who you should be talking to. Then number 2, who do you then raise from? Having understood what your exit strategy is. And then 3, I mentioned the art of fundraising class will happen next week, the 20th. So I think I'll spend more time on that whole ability of fundraising and how you go about that. But in the meantime, going into a startup accelerator, ideally, you're looking at the first 2, you're not looking at the third one. Your exit is either to build a business that you want to sell, build a business that will be acquired. Basically, that's the word that is used. Build a business that is acquired, or build a business that will go public. That is essentially why you should be looking at getting into an accelerator program, because an accelerator program will only accept you most of the time, at least 90% of the time, because they want equity in your startup. And the reason they're doing that is that they want to see your business exit in the future, either to an acquisition deal that has happened or a public, an IPO that has happened. So having understood that, then is to ask yourself the question, is an accelerator best for my company? The truth is, I look at accelerator programs as really substantial business opportunities for you as an entrepreneur to get the right connections. And the right connections will be that you want to meet investors, you want to meet partners, you want to meet maybe even future founders, you want to meet future team members. I've gone through an accelerator program where the program manager eventually joined a startup that went through its accelerator program after some time, because the startup went on to raise money and then was able to then build a very well-structured business that could allow the program manager to join. I've seen interns come into accelerator programs and provide marketing expertise for the startups that go through. And one of the startups is excited about their experience and then eventually bring them on board. So the connections you create and then even meeting other founders and sharing experiences is a brilliant thing you get from accelerator programs over the period of working with them. The shared knowledge and resources that these programs provide. Many accelerator programs have a library of resources that will put you as an entrepreneur through what I call the MBA of founding businesses. You may have gone through the school you may have gone through had your second degree or studied entrepreneurship for all the courses that exist out there, and you said you wanted to learn entrepreneurship. But when you go through a startup accelerator, within that 6 weeks to 3 months period, they tend to build you in such a way that they allow you to get in-depth knowledge on how to essentially grow your business, build your business, establish your business with shared knowledge that many people have provided to you from their own experiences and from the resources that they make available. The third thing is this network of support that you get. This support will come from mentors. This support will come from experts. This support will come from people that have gone ahead and done something similar to what you're building. And that whole exposure to them, it just gives you so much value. It also comes with support from investors. You may have investors that are not necessarily funding you, or maybe your business hasn't reached the stage where they want to fund, but they are happy to give you insight. They're happy to give you knowledge, and they're happy to connect you maybe with business partners that you need to continue to grow your business. Then there's the endorsement and exposure. Demo Day is a very brilliant way of getting in the eyes of the media. And so going through an accelerator program allows you that experience to be able to get to that demo day where you would perfect your pitch, where you understand exactly what value you're providing to the customer, and allows you to stand on the stage to give a speech out to 200 investors usually in a room, and over 50 media people out there that will hear you and will recognize you because you've come through an accelerator that is endorsed or an accelerator that has the right branding to give you that support. So that exposure that comes with demo day is actually a brilliant thing that you have, and it gives huge reputation to your business over time. Then there's the funding. The funding is usually what most people pay attention to. But I tell people that the first 4 is as important as the funding, because the first 4 will eventually get you the funding and allow you to keep and sustain the funding over time. So this, in essence, is why I feel if you're building a startup that is going to be one that you want to grow to sell quickly to get acquired, or one that you want to build and sustain and build structures around it and get it to a public offering, ideally going through an accelerator is one of the best ways to do that. Especially for us in Africa, where we've not had so much experience in entrepreneurship from a technology perspective, and it's something we've only just embraced over the last 25 to 30 years, taking on the knowledge of other investors and many of those investors that will eventually invest in your business, and having all that knowledge for yourself through an accelerator program is such an important thing to do. How far should my startup get to before I apply to an accelerator program? In my own experience, I've seen that you should ideally have a team of people to support you as a founder before you get into an accelerator program. Ideally. Now, in all the words I use, I'm careful because there are those outliners that will eventually get into an accelerator program without going through the normal process or going through the normal things that you expect. And a program will just accept them. And when we talk about the different programs, you will see that. But in most accelerator programs, ideally, you need a team. That team can be a team of co-founders or a team of people that are supporting you. Because what happens is when you get into the program and you start engaging in the program, it takes you usually away from work. And within that period that you're away from work, business still has to happen, especially if you've already launched your business. So who will do the work if you're the only person that does the work and you're getting into the program? Literally, business is grounded the whole time you're in the accelerator program. And that is why many accelerators wouldn't accept some people's application. Number 2, ideally, you should have a decent level of traction, 6 to 9 months. Some programs accept ideas, like I said I will share about, or with experienced founders. But in most times, a business must have existing paying customers so that they can see and predict what essentially your business will look like in the future. Number 3 is Most accelerator programs will require that the founders are 100% committed. Even if that is not the case when you're applying, you got to prove to them and show the accelerator program that by the time I'm done with this program, I would have committed 100% of my time. So maybe I'm working somewhere, I'm providing for my family for now. I'm doing that pending when I'm able to get into an accelerator program. Eventually, I get into one and I've received an initial investment from them. What most programs will want to see is that you are committed to the idea, you're committed, and you're ready to step in 100%. This is usually what most accelerators look at, and this is what you should be paying attention to as a founder before you apply for a program. The next question, when is the best time? When is the best time to apply to a program? Number one, early when the applications open. And speaking to this, I'll tell you why this is so important. When an accelerator program opens, usually they give you 6 weeks to 3 months to apply for the program. Why it's important to apply early is because when your application goes in early, let's say the program it's giving you 3 months to apply. If you apply in the first week or by the second week, many accelerator programs pay attention to your traction after your application. They want to see updates from you. And this is something I've done so many times, and something I've helped so many other entrepreneurs do. Apply early so that you can show that, okay, at the point of application, we had 1,000 customers and we're generating $100 weekly. You then do the work you're doing and you're seeing that, okay, customers are coming in. You've now grown to 1,500 customers and you're now doing $200 revenue. Go back to your application and put an update. Most of the applications will allow you that to put an update or to send in an email to say, I have moved on from 1,000 customers when I first applied. We're now at 1,500 customers doing $200. When we get to week 5, we're now at 2,000 customers generating $500. That level of traction and progress can only be achieved and showcased by you as the founder if you apply early. If you apply late, you don't have room to show that kind of traction. Everything you've done is at the point where you applied, if you apply late. So this is why it is important that you apply early. Number 2, look for intros to accelerator managers from previous, founders or people that have worked with them to say, I want you to please pitch me to this particular managing director of this accelerator, usually 1 or 2 weeks after their last demo day. Most accelerators give themselves 2 weeks to a month after their previous demo day and immediately start looking for new founders, new businesses, new ideas to take into the accelerator program, even before they put out that the application is open. So start looking for those intros in their demo days. If you can walk into the demo day and listen to other startups pitch, I found, so Techstars Toronto, there was, when one of my startups pitched at Techstars Toronto, I noticed that there were some founders that joined the demo day and were just listening and just enjoying the moment and wanted to see what was happening in Techstars Toronto. What I then noticed was by the next Techstars Toronto class, many of them had joined. Some of them were even people that asked questions from the founders or asked questions from managing directors. But by the next cohort, I saw many of them in that. So if you can get into those demo days and watch them, fantastic. If you can have interest to those managing directors 2 weeks after they've done their demo day, fantastic. This is the best time to apply. Number 3, the application really starts from the day your pitch deck hits the email of the MD. So what that means is you need to cultivate relationships with the managing directors. You need to cultivate relationships with the people that are within the accelerator program. You need to be able to make sure that from the minute your application goes in, as you're sending those updates, you're giving them the authenticity and the frankness and the truth about how your business is progressing. The 4th thing is everything about pitching is storytelling, including your application. Your ability to key into storytelling from your LinkedIn, because when you apply to a program, usually what happens is the managing director goes online to check you out. And what they do is they put in your name on Google. They want to see what has been said about you. They want to read articles about you. They want to go on your LinkedIn. Usually, the first page they will check is your LinkedIn profile. They want to see how much of this particular startup have you pushed out. It is actually really counterproductive for a founder when you have pitched to an accelerator program and you have pitched idea A, and the managing director of that accelerator program lands on your LinkedIn profile, and they see that idea A is not even what you're currently saying that you're working on. In fact, it's not even on your LinkedIn profile, or maybe it's at the bottom, and there's no mention of any activity on social media about what you're doing with idea A. It's a very counterproductive move. You have maybe, in some applications, I've seen over 1,000 applications go in. And the opportunity you had for the managing director to see you, there was nothing done from a storytelling perspective for you to showcase to him how passionate you are about building this business. So pay attention to that. Which program should I apply to? The first thing you should pay attention to when looking at programs to apply to is research the programs first. Check out their domain. Are there people that invest in your industry? Even if they invest in your industry, do they accept startups from your particular domain? You're in Nigeria, you're applying to an accelerator program, maybe in India. This accelerator program invests in clean tech, for instance. But have you seen that they've invested in clean tech from a startup that has come from Africa or a startup that has come from Nigeria? Or have all the investments gone into clean tech from startups in the Middle East? You have to pay attention to this and do your research before you start applying and getting frustrated about rejections that you may get. Number two, research the program sponsors. Most accelerator programs have sponsors. They have people that have invested most of their monies to them to say, okay, invest in these startups. If you see a sponsor that is in the mobility space investing in an accelerator program, you will find 70% of those startups that get into that program coming from the mobility space. So pay attention to who is sponsoring the programs too. Three, research the previous cohort and the successes they've had. You want to know whether that cohort was a good one. You want to know whether this accelerator program will continue into the next phase and whether they will be investing in more. There's some accelerator programs, that I've participated in, that they had two classes. The first class was focused on, so this was Texas, Toronto at some point. The first class was focused on 90% Canadian startups, 10% global startups. The second class, which happened at the end of the year, was then focused on 50% African startups, 20% global startups, and then 20% Canadian startups. For a founder looking to apply to such a program that hasn't done his research, he may want to apply to the first batch where it's only 90%. 90% have gone to Canadian startups and only 10% have gone to global startups, not even African startups. And he's trying to force himself into that class. Unfortunately, you may not get him. But if you've done your research to see that they have a cohort that focuses on the African startups at a particular time, then you would grow your chances of you getting into that program. Number four, engage with previous founders. I talked about going to the demo days and understanding what these founders have done and how they pitch. Engaging with them will help you understand what the programs are about. It can also help you know whether this program is the right fit for you or not. Now, speaking to the different accelerator programs that exist, the first ones that are usually popular are the Y Combinators, the Techstars, 500 startups on deck. Usually, these guys require to see some traction. They require to see a team. Ideally, you find that 70% of them will invest in startups that have 2 founders minimum. The reason they focus on that is because they want to see that when one of those founders is focused on fundraising, the other one is focused on running the business, so the business doesn't crumble. In some instances, you will find that these founders have to relocate and go to a new city to be in the program, and then there's still somebody running that business so it doesn't crumble. So usually Techstars, Y Combinator, 500 startups on deck, these guys want to invest in Startups that have already received even angel investment are the ones that they will ideally be more inclined to take in on board. In certain instances, they also look for those that have ideas they've not even raised any funding, and they're happy to be their first check. But based off on what these guys have done in the past, they want to see traction. 3 to 6 months, they want to see reference. Somebody referring you to them is actually a big deal. The second set of accelerator programs are the likes of Antler, Founders Institute, Entrepreneurs First. Antler Founders Institute wants founders, not startups. So they give preference first to founders, not startups. What is the difference? With Techstars and Y Combinator, they're looking for a startup that is already in existence running. With Antler, for instance, they want to select founders to come into the accelerator and then, or accelerator or incubator, and then fashion out an idea within that program by merging 1 or 2 founders together to create and run on an idea. This is what you see with Antler or with Founders Institute or with Entrepreneurs First. They are more after the founders coming together into the program, and then from that program, they nurture out an idea that they eventually go out and then launch and then turn it into successes. Sometimes you will see many of these startups come out from Antler or Founders Institute and eventually get into Techstars or Y Combinator after they are done with launching that idea, or they just go on to raise funding. Then you have the likes of SOSV or Orbit. You have the likes of Google Black Founders, Plug and Play. Those ones wait for, most times, what I've seen is they wait for the startups to first go through the Antler phase, then go through the Techstars phase and Y Combinator phase, and then that's when they will then invest in you. So you as a founder, if you've not gone through any of these phases, you have a smaller window. It's not impossible. It's not impossible for you to get them to invest in you, but there's a smaller window when you've not gone through any of these other accelerators and you're landing with maybe Orbit, or you're landing with Google Black Founders or Plug and Play. The ideal scenario is that you've gone through one of these other programs before applying to them. So these categories should help you understand where do you fit. And in doing your research, you know who do you apply to, so that you don't waste your time going for one when you should be talking to the other. How do you make your application stand out? One is show the magic. I've heard many managing directors say they've looked at what 1,200. In fact, I met a managing director of an accelerator program last week, and she said to me that they looked through 5,000 applications. 5,000 applications. They screened them down to 500. They screened them down to 200, and they screened them down to 30, then they screened them down to 12. How do you go from 5,000, a pool of 5,000, to the 12? Show the magic. What makes you stand out? Sometimes it can be the experience of the founders who have done something so well that they are now founder problem fits, founder idea fits, where their experience and all the things they've done from their previous job makes them the ideal person to build this business. This is where, if you are pitching your business to an accelerator, you want to quickly talk about the founding team, almost immediately as you start off with your pitch, to show that this team has the experience to deal with this problem and show the solutions that will come out of it. So whatever it is that's your magic, it can be that you launch something and in 2 weeks you have 1 million customers. That is your magic. You want to show that very quickly. So identify what your magic is and make sure you put it out there so you stand out from the 5,000. Talk about the problem you are solving, not just the solutions. Many people, when they pitch, will tell you, so let's say your startup is into building chairs. You find many founders will start their pitch by telling you, so a chair is a tool that allows you to sit down and cross your leg, and it looks like this, and the back is this way, and then they have a place where you sit and you put your legs forward. They're telling you the solution. Ideal pitches will come from, have you thought about the fact that you don't want to stand for too long and you're looking for something to sit on? We've created a way for you to sit and rest your back and put your chair and put your legs forward without having to bother about standing for many hours. That is why we have launched a chair. Now, this is a better pitch than for you to come into a pitch where you're selling the solution as against selling the problem and then moving from the problem to the solution. So talk about the problems you're solving and not just the solutions. Be authentic, show your truth. So people go into meetings and they want to be funny. They want to crack a joke. They say they're trying to ease off the tension. Many of these guys will see through the glass and will know that you're not being authentic. Be yourself. Let your truth shine, because what will happen is you'll be consistent if you're true in your pitch and how you're delivering it based on the things that makes you you. You would be true to yourself. It means that you would come today and the way you pitch today is the way you pitch tomorrow and nothing will change. So be authentic and show your truth because people will see it. Give updates in your application. I mentioned this earlier on. You apply very early and you give updates, and then 1 week later you come and you give updates, and another week later you come and give updates. That makes you stand out. You're already building relationship. Also, follow up with a thank you, especially when you have gotten into interviews. There's a reason why it was 5,000, and then they met 500, and then came down to 200, and then came to 30 and 12. Some little things like just being grateful for the opportunity to pitch. It's something that is a very, very good thing that makes people stand out. Also, do your research on the accelerator. As much as you are looking for them to get you in, they also, and they are researching you, you should also be researching them and understanding what are good questions I should ask in the interview. It's not a very good thing when you've gone into an interview for an accelerator program, and at the end, they ask you, do you have any questions? And you say no. It's not a good thing. It's also not a good thing when at the end, they ask you, do you have any questions? And you say, how long is the program going to be for? This is something you can see on the internet. Ask questions that are good questions, not the ones that you can easily type on Google and you see the answer. It means you've not done your research. Or you say, where is this program going to be located? Or do I need to relocate? No, you should be asking very authentic, serious questions that shows that you've done your research. Remember, you do not need to be a comedian. I've seen many times people miss this out, especially for us coming from Africa. I've seen many people come into and they want to crack a joke. You don't need to crack a joke. Even the jokes you're cracking may not be the same thing that is a joke for the man that is listening to you. So there's no need to do that. Just be yourself. All right. Now, from this point, I've spent some time speaking through my slides. I want to now take you through real life scenarios. So that a couple of things I'll be doing. I'll be taking you through real life scenarios of making an application. While I'm doing that, if you have questions, you can always ask those questions on the chat area. But because we're very few, I think we will even allow people to ask questions directly. So let me take you through a real life scenario of making an application. I'm going to use Techstars, for example. Just to be sure, we would like to see that your videos are on, so I know that you're here. As many people that can turn on your videos, so I know that you're here as we go through this particular period now. Thank you, Kenneth. All right. So just to be sure, I want to be sure that everyone is listening and everyone's here. So Jeffrey, you're here. David is here. Fantastic. Adako is here. Mayowa is here. Chibuzo is here. Okay, great. So let's go through, let's do this. I'm going to go to Techstars and I'm going to do an application. Let me get, so I'm on Techstars website. This is their website. I hope you can still see my screen. You can all see my screen, just to confirm. Yeah. Okay, great. So, all right, so I'm going to go to the accelerators, grow your startup, join an accelerator program, blah, 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 blah. See the accelerators that are open. Let's go there. Now I see the accelerators that are open. So you have ABN, this one is May 2022. Okay, let's carefully filter. Application status, apply now. So let's see those that are open. Okay, so I see all of these. Let's say I'm interested in energy tech. I'm going to want to apply to the Alabama program. Click on that. Or, no, let me do this. Somebody should give me their startup and that they want me to do an application with. I'm not going to just pick any. So I know that everybody's on this call.
Mandates.one.
Say that again.
Short-led booking platform, Mandates.one.
Okay, so just type it in the chat area so I pick that out.
All right.
Okay, mandates.one. Mandates.one. And it's a short-let booking platform. I think I heard that.
Yeah, short-led booking platform powered by virtual tours.
Platform powered by virtual tours. I see a question from Maiwa, so I would answer that. But let me focus on this now. Short-term booking platform powered by virtual tours. Okay. So ideally, that would be prop tech. So if I'm looking for, let's see if there's any prop tech open. There's mobility, food, all is powered. Let's see, powered by JP Morgan, London, New York Health, Senegal. I don't see prop tech. So there's no prop tech. Let me check based on, let me remove apply now and just put prop tech. So there's no prop tech. House, no house. So it means we will now have to go for a general class to apply for a general class. So let's see for the classes that open.
You can try for.
Sorry? Okay.
I said we can try for media and entertainment.
Are you in Mandates? Are you the co-founder of Mandates? He didn't say we should try media. You want us to try and try media. He spoke first. Let us focus on him. Let's assume that he's the one applying and he can't find prop tech. So let's focus on him. So what I would do is I will go on Google and type prop tech, Techstars. So see, Colliers prop tech accelerator. So Colliers did prop tech in the past. First class for, so it's only Colliers. I keep saying Colliers. So I guess we will now come back here and look for Colliers. So that's how I will I'll first go for this. So Colliers. Let's check whether there's Colliers. So Colliers, it doesn't exist anymore. Next thing I'll then do is look for a prop tech Techstars startup. And one of it is, I think Rent Most was even one. And so,
yeah, so.
Sorry?
No, I was just mentioning one, Cable also.
Cable. So where did Cable go to? Lagos, right?
Yeah, Lagos.
So it means I will focus on either Lagos or I'll focus on Toronto. So let's look whether Lagos is not opening soon. So you don't have an option to apply. Now let's just do a general application anywhere. Pick anywhere. So Techstars anywhere. Application will start. Applications have opened. So ideally you should be applying now because March 4th would have given you traction to show them your progress. And application closes on May 22nd. Accelerator starts on the 9th. Demo day is on the 5th. They have a hybrid program. So this is a hybrid program, so you can be anywhere. I'll research this guy out. His name is Trey Balls. I'll go on LinkedIn and check him out. I'll look for his investments that he has done. I'll come here. I'll check the companies that they've invested in. I want to know if there's anyone that I know there. I can reach out to the person. And then let's go ahead and then say we want to apply. So I click on applying. So you do all your research. I'm trying to move as quickly as I can. You do all your research. So I want to sign up with my email address. put an email. I have to pick an email that, okay. So they will see that I have, let me use somebody's email. Somebody should give me an email. Because it's already, yeah, give me your email. Or, yeah, what's the name first? What's the name? Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Uzoka.
Uzoka. What's the email?
Jeff Uzoka at gmail.com.
Okay. Password, we'll call it Jeff, capital Jeff, Uzoka, capital JE3FF, capital UZ0K at.
Actually, okay, I think we should use another email because I already have an account associated with this email.
Okay. So give us another email.
I am GPOSH. Yeah, Posh. At gmail.com. Yes.
So I'll just put the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2024. Password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2024 and at. Password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2024 and at. Okay. You've used this email too.
That must have been a mistake.
All right. Can someone just give me any other email? So the important
Let me just use another one. Zoka at mandates.1. Zoka without the U at mandates.1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2024.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2024 at.
There should be an M. There should be an N rather.
It's already gone.
Ish.
Okay.
Or you would.
Let me go back again.
MEN.
All right, check your box.
All right.
So he's going to verify that. While he's doing that, I'm going to open video applications for us to see. I'm going to open this one so you can see what these applications look like when people are applying to VC. So this is a YC application, they got accepted. So you see how these applications are authentic. It's a 36 seconds video by the founders. There we go.
Hi, I'm Dylan, senior at MIT at Infinite Striking People.
Sorry. Sorry, can you guys hear? Can you hear the video?
Not really.
Oh, you can't hear the video clearly. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to play it from top. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Dylan, senior at MIT at Infinite Striking People. Hi, I'm Kwong, and over the years, I've worked at a few startups, most recently at Maytrade. Hi, I'm Jacob. Previously, I've worked at Jump Trading and Emerald Innovations.
And hello, I'm Felina, and I interned at Reddit and Gem.
So we're all computer science students here at MIT, and together we also run Web Lab, a web development class with over 300 students every year.
We started Scout because we were frustrated with trying to use ChatGPT on our own offline content. Our goal is to connect you to your data using LLMs, enable you to search and generate content based off of that.
Imagine uploading your lecture videos and being able to create personalized notes, study guides, or having the knowledge of your professor on hand to ask any questions.
We first started working on this together at Hack MIT this year, where we actually won first place. And since then, we've been rapidly iterating and improving on it, and we're really excited to show you what's next. Thank you.
That was the application video. It got accepted. I'm going to show you another one. Okay, so this was our own. This was Trip's application video, and you can take a listen. It's like Sydney, Toronto, and Lagos. In cities like Sydney, Toronto, and Lagos in Nigeria, where over 20 million people commute on a daily basis, not much has been done to disrupt the public transportation sector positively, yet it accounts for 90% of all commute that happens in these cities. In 2019, precisely September, 3 of my co-founders who have had experience of building the first online car rental service in Nigeria were involved in building the third largest online travel agency in the country, including myself, who has been involved in building some of the biggest marketing campaigns out of Africa. We came together to build WithOnyeka, which is now the largest bus network company that aggregates several bus companies into one platform, allowing our commuters to decide on options around bus travel as they go across cities. In the last 18 months, we've moved over 300,000 people and connected them with several bus partners in order to have a seamless, a predictable, and quality service as they commute within the cities. WithOnyeka has the potential to expand into other markets, including North America and the rest of Africa, because public transportation continues to become a major problem for people in those cities. Our model sees us where within cities, we're able to make 15% margins on every ticket we sell, and across cities traveling between one state to the other or one province to the other, we can make as much as 5% commission on every ticket sold. Those partners are happy to do this with us because we can now connect them with large customers in our database. WithOnyeka continues to connect millions of people on its platform, and we look forward to doing more. Okay. Somebody will ask me how long it took me to do that. I practiced, I think about 6 or 7 times before doing that. And what I just did was I put the bullet points. Let me show you this one. Oh, sorry. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. I wanted to show you one last application video. So you see the authenticity in the videos, right? And you can appreciate. So I'm going to show you this video.
Hi, YC. I'm Aditya, and I'm the business co-founder of Suggester. I do marketing, I do sales. I work really closely with our customers, including doing all of customer support. At this point, I've been in the recommendation space for almost 2 years.
Hi, I'm Alexei. I'm AI researcher from Facebook. I'm co-founder and CTO at Suggester, doing all the product and tech stuff. We both moved to Singapore to build Suggester together.
Awesome. Now, here's the thing. Large platforms like Amazon generate anywhere from 25 to 30% of their total sales from product recommendations. But for smaller brands, this figure is often in the 4 to 7% range. This represents a huge lost revenue opportunity.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. If you go to a random Shopify store today, almost all recommendations you will see are from the same outdated algorithm from 1992 called collaborative filtering. And even for expensive third-party apps, they still use the same thing. And we think that in 2021, this is just insane. It's not how it should work.
Exactly. We use a new technology called multimodal AI, which actually looks at the products, and that's how we make recommendations. Solution works for small stores, large stores, and pretty much everything in between.
Yeah, just recently we launched Shopify App Store, actually 3 weeks ago. Since then, we onboarded 17 D2C brands, and for them, we generated more than $7,000 of additional sales just from recommendations.
Thank you. We're Suggester, and we look forward to telling you guys more about the business that we're building.
All right. So I've just shown you 3 videos, and these 3 videos are of founders that may not know. But let me show you one last video. This video is of DoorDash. We all know DoorDash, and we know how much they've done already. We'll see how DoorDash got into Y Combinator. See their video. So this is the last video before I go into the application itself.
I'm a Stanford CS major. I did front-end engineering on Facebook. Hey, I'm Andy. I'm also a Stanford CS major, and I did platform engineering on Facebook.
I'm Evan. I was on the founding team of Vivo, the music video service.
And I'm Tony. I was a product editor at Square.
And the 4 of us came together about 6 months ago to work on software for small business owners. But we didn't have a need at first, so we just went out and talked to all the small business owners we could find. After over 100 interviews, we came across a really interesting problem with small business restaurants in an area like this, Palo Alto.
Yeah, so it turns out restaurants in Palo Alto don't deliver, even though they really want to, but they can't afford it. But their consumers are craving for it, but the places that the consumers love just can't deliver. And we also found out about these delivery drivers who had a ton of spare time, and they all want to earn extra cash during that downtime.
Right. And so that's when we built an initial product, PaloAltoDelivery.com. And how it works is the customer goes to the website and places an online order that gets automatically sent to the restaurant. And then we, as the dispatchers, with some pretty neat routing and batching algorithms, we're able to send the drivers efficiently to get the orders to the customers at a really fast time.
Yeah, and the 4 of us actually started off as delivery drivers. And over time, we hired more as we grew. And in our first month of launch, with not much marketing, we got over 150 paying customers in the Palo Alto area, which was really awesome. And from that, we generated over $10,000 in sales.
That was the application.
This is how we made our workflow better than ever.
Okay, so sorry.
It gave our team
1 second.
centralized workspace where we could easily manage all workflows.
I need to pause that video that's
and
playing.
data.
Find
Now we
it
can
and pause it
so
first.
everyone knows they're part of the big picture. By connecting our calendars, messages, and emails to our Monday doc.
What's up, startup founders? My name is Sam Wong. I'm the CEO of Fundable Startups.
Okay. You all got that. Now I'm going to talk about, so Jeff, have you seen and accepted the application, by the way?
Yes, I've activated the from the email. I've activated the link.
Okay, great. So we will come back to that shortly so we can log in. But in the meantime, I want to now talk about the video. So I had to skip that while you were sorting that out. Now, just looking at those videos, one of the things you've noticed is the authenticity of these guys. Because of time, I didn't show you. There are videos that people went to go into a studio to go and do proper studio work. They weren't accepted. There was one video that had animation from the outset. They weren't accepted. Because one of the things that the accelerator programs want to see with those videos is the synergy of the founders, the authenticity of you talking about the idea without necessarily scripting it. So they want to see you talk and freestyle. They don't want you to come in there and start saying or talking and it looks like there's something there's a prompter somewhere and your eyes are going like that and you're just reading through it. They want to see you talk about the problem. If this is really a problem that you're made for, they want to see the authenticity in how you share. And that's what I wanted to show you guys from those videos that you saw, as to how you look at the videos you've sent into application program. Remember, it's about authenticity. It's about showing how much you're involved in the idea. And then it's about showing chemistry. If you have a founder with you, or co-founder, which is about showing chemistry as you solve the problems that you're aiming to go after. Let's get into the application now, quickly. So, Jeff, I'm going to be working with you. We'll have to move really, really fast because of time, so I can take questions. And the questions, please put the questions in the chat area. Once it's time for questions, we'll now get into it quickly. All right, so I'm going to share my screen so we can do this quickly. Where is this? Yeah, sure. All right, so Jeff, let's do this. It says I can log in. Let me log in. All right, we're in. All right, what do you need to know? To apply to a Techstars Accelerator, you need to answer some questions about yourself. A complete founder profile is required. You may access the full list of application questions to review and prepare your answers. So this is the full list of application questions to review. So maybe we should just even use that. Make a copy of this document to your personal drive. Do not require access. All right, that's fine. So the first question. So these are all the questions. So I want to just use this so we can go through them very quickly. These are all the questions you will see when you start your profile. So it will take you from stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So let's use this and go through. So first they'll ask for your name. Put your name, your contact details, your title. Titles don't matter. When you're going to accelerator programs, the titles don't matter. You just want to see founders. Because what happens is sometimes when the founders get into the program, in the course of going through the program, you will find that some founders will change titles. For instance, a guy that may call himself the CTO, and all of a sudden it turns out that he's the best at speaking and standing in front of the audience to talk. And he needs to change his title in order to be the one to give the pitch at the end of the day. You have all sorts of things happen. So titles don't really matter to the accelerator program when you're applying. Current location is very important. See, LinkedIn profile was asterisk. Your LinkedIn profile is more important than any other social media profile you have out there. Next to it is always Twitter. But LinkedIn is where everybody will land on to check you out first, after using Google to check you out. Then your phone number, working on your startup full-time. Now, working on a startup full-time is a big criteria that many of these accelerator programs look at when they're going to make a decision about you. If you say yes, it's a plus, plus, plus. If you say no, questions will be asked. And they want to know, when are you going to work on this full-time? Demography, what is your birth date? What is your gender, identity, transgender? All of this is from equal opportunity thing. So they ask for all of this. Now going to the application itself. Startup name, you should ideally have your startup name. Startup URL, you should ideally have a website. Ideally have a website. What year was your company founded? So you put that. What problem are you looking to solve? You should explain. Now, when you're writing about the problem you're looking to solve, focus on the problem, not the solution. Talk about the scale of the problem. When I was pitching Plenty Worker, which is now Trips, initially, I would first start with, there are 9 million people that use the bus system in Lagos every single day. But what is shocking is that only 1% of that have a structured way of commuting. Now, that just tells you that it's a problem of 9 million people using the bus every single day. Only 1% only have a structured way of using that. So it tells you that 99% of 9 million people that my solution will eventually create value for. What is your company going to make to solve this? Now, this is where you now sell the solution or the product. You're describing the product. Sorry, let me zoom in so you can see better. Okay, is your startup incorporated? This is not such a big deal. But many people make it one. It's actually not a big deal for many accelerator programs, whether you're incorporated or not. They want to know you have a name, they want to know you have a URL, but they don't necessarily need to know whether you're incorporated, because usually when you're getting into those programs, they will want you to reincorporate based on the domain you're applying to. So if you are in Nigeria or you're in Ghana and you're applying to a Texas Toronto accelerator, for instance, in the ideal world, they want you to incorporate in Canada. If you're applying to a New York accelerator program, they will ideally want you to apply and then incorporate in New York. So that you are incorporated, yes or no, it's not such a crazy deal. They just want to know what state you are in. Which industries are relevant to your company? This is important because each accelerator program usually focuses on a particular demographic. Usually what I do is when these managing directors reach out to me and say, hey, Onyeka, do you have startups that you can refer? The first question I ask is, what industry are you focused on in this squad? And you notice like, oh, we just want prop tech and fintech. Finish. So it means even if you're building the best e-commerce platform, they're not interested in you. Even if you're building the best ad tech platform, they're not interested in you. And so even if you apply, they won't look at you. So I usually ask that question, and it's good to pay attention to the industry. You put that out there. Are you based or do you conduct any business in any of these countries? These are countries that have some red flags with getting visas to come in to many of their programs. So they usually check that out. Product demo video is very important. Always do a product demo video, no matter how simple it is. Do one to explain your idea. It can even be as simple as just graphics without it being a proper video. It can be as simple as you holding your laptop and showing by clicking, like I'm presenting to you and I'm showing you how to use the product. It doesn't have to be sophisticated. You just want to understand what product you're building. Team introduction is usually that video that I just showed you. And then the pitch deck, very important. Startup team, add each of your co-founders by providing their name and email. They do that to check every other person out. If you say this person is your founder, if this person's profile showing that, this person's LinkedIn profile showing that, how committed is this person to the idea? Or are you just elevating a senior team member to call them a co-founder because you want to call them a co-founder? Why is your team a winning team? You've got to show the history. So there are things that people pay, that accelerators pay attention to when we're looking at the team. They're looking at the team from a place of, do you have history of working together or doing things together in the past? Do you have history of individual skill sets that will complement on this idea that you're trying to build on? These are things that many of these programs want to see. Where are the majority of your team members, employees located? It's good to put that. It tells them where your headquarters ideally is, or your headquarters for operation is. Startup progress, please share any traction metrics you have. Now you see this area, usually they will want you to come back again and update this over and over again. So wherever you are, put it, but make sure you're able to show that you're growing. Do you have revenue? Yes or no? You have revenue, fine. You don't have revenue, no problem. Put it the way it is. But if you're applying to an accelerator, you must have something that you feel that accelerator wants to see and invest in for you to be applying to them. It may be the revenue, it may be the customer base, and it may be something that just makes you magical. So there must be something. So even if it's not a revenue, just put where you are in revenue and show growth. Have you received funding? You need to put that. Startup strategy, how do you make money? Your business model has to be clear. Who's your target audience? Your customer base has to be clear. Who are your competitors? Many people will come and say, I don't have competition. If you come and apply for funding and you say you don't have competition, it's one way for an investor to skip you. You cannot apply without saying you don't have competition. It means you've not done enough research. You must be able to show competitors and why you're better than them. Don't be scared of not including that. What is your competitive advantage? Now, it's important. If you say you don't have competitors, you will not be able to say your competitive advantage. And that's why it's always good to make sure you do your research enough to find out who are your competitors and then do your research to know how am I better than them. You always have competitors. And why is this the right time for your startup? This is showing your competitive edge. What makes you unique? What is your customer acquisition strategy? Sending them how you get customers. If you show that you're spending a lot of money to get the customers, unfortunately, it means that all the money they will give you will finish on getting customers. You have to show something that shows tremendous value, where it shows that customer A used your service. And the best way of showing that your service is really important is that with referrals, they got the next customer for you, reducing your customer cost. What are your next major milestones? You got to include that. How did you hear about Techstars? It's good for them. They want to see this. It's for their internal use. And then the terms and policies and all. All right? So these are usually the questions you answer if you are applying to Techstars. And I just did a run through on them. So I don't have to be clicking and going forward with this. I just clicked one. So you see how it's just the same thing. You put all the details. It's just the same thing that was there, and you go step by step by step. All right. So if you have questions, please just put them in the chat area. I will go through them. I'm really late on time, actually. So this, I'm going to end now on one note. We'll look at a live application that was done by a YC startup, and that was on Paystack. But just to highlight here, there are other things that one is doing. So I actually was grateful to the last class. There are people that have engaged services from a consulting perspective to help them with different angles. I got about 4 different board advisory appointments, or sorry, requests. I'm not necessarily going to be taking all of that. I'm excited about helping the founders and the startups get to the next level. And so these are things that I'll do with startups. Just to highlight, I'm doing this to wrap up before we get into the questions. The other events that will happen, one that is very, very important is the one that will happen next week, the art of fundraising for first-time founders. I think it's going to be one that will be really good for every entrepreneur to have. It's something I constantly speak about. Then after that, for very matured founders who are looking to pivot their startup ideas, what are the things you have to look at before doing that? And then the class that was supposed to happen last week that we moved it to the third week of May, which is how you find the right co-founders for your startup. All right, so let's go into the YC application that was done by Paystack. I highlighted it here. This is open, so you can easily see that. And what Shola did here was he gave comments on each one. So see what he said. Hey, Shola, I'm CEO of Paystack, a payment company. So this was his application to YC. That helps with African merchants accept payments. They launched 11th of May, 2015. Paystack became the first Nigerian company to invite to join. Okay, so these are his notes. So this is how he applied. Company name Paystack, URL. This was the URL then. We launched with Paystack.com. It was about a year later that I was able to buy domain.com. Now, I see he's helping you understand that. So what I'll do is, by the way, we may not be able to go through everything because of questions. I will send this link to you so that you can, and to everybody that attended the session, so you can see his feedback on different things that were done during the application. But I'll just highlight a few of them. He didn't even have a .com domain. It was .co. The domain used to belong to a different white company called Paystack. From some of this, many thanks to former Paystack CEO who agreed to sell it. If you have online demo, so this was the online demo. Gingerbox, DIY Law were some of our LS customers. So he provided that lead with those guys. Describe your company in 50 characters. APIs and tools to enable merchants accept payments in Africa. That hasn't changed. That's why there was no note. What is your company going to make? Software, blah, blah, blah. He explained this. See what I said? It's interesting to see how consistent our vision has remained. From day one, it's the same thing they are. Which category? Financial services. Is this application in response to YC referral? No. Where do you live now? Put in Lagos, Nigeria. Contact, put that. Founders. How can use username, Shola, blah, 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 blah. He applied to YC as a solo founder. Tip, don't do this. Later down the page, this page, I'll talk about where my co-founder Ezra came into the picture. God helped him. It was actually God that helped because he had to get a co-founder. See, he's saying, don't do this. He applied as a solo founder. It's impossible for me to impossible for me to watch this video and not cringe a little because this is his video. Oh, it's off. It's now private. Before it used to be public. I think I have it somewhere. First of many, many, many pitches. Please tell us about the interesting project you've done. You didn't put anything, their progress, their private beta. Launch date was November 2014. How many users do you have? 12 pilot merchants and up to 400 on waiting list. Do you have revenue? Yes. See his revenue, $1,300. Nobody will kill him. He said it exactly the way it was. See, he said this was literally everything we had made when we applied. Note that $1,000 of this came from one transaction alone. Just be honest and show why you are one that you should be investing in. I just want to highlight some of those things. Transaction fees, equity. Have you incorporated or formed any? Yes. What blah, 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 blah. Trading entity created in Lagos. So they were in Lagos. See his equity pool at the time he applied. Shola, 80%, employees, 10%, advisory pool, 10%. That was what he used to apply. Our cap table looks different, but this is what I looked like then. You know, and yeah, so I'll send this to you guys so you can see. But let's now go into questions that you may have. So I think I've been talking since, so I'll hand this now over to you so we can coordinate the questions. I'll be happy to answer as many questions as possible.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Onyeka, for a very enlightening session. I'm sure that this session was value-filled for everyone. So currently we have about 4 questions. And I'm going to read them out. And then one other person is raising their hand. I think Kenneth is raising. We'll come back to you once we've taken the questions that were asked in the chat. We'll come back to you. Okay, the first question is from Jeffrey Uzoka. And he says, do they check all founders' LinkedIn profile or just the person who submitted the application?
They check all founders' profile, all of them. They'll check everyone's profile. As long as you've listed the person as a founder, his profile will be checked.
Right. The second one is from...
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I think Joy has frozen. Or is it me?
I think our network.
Okay.
I think I can.
All right, go ahead, Oyin.
All right, then. We have a question from Olu Mayowa at DBC. It says, okay, will the Alabama program be for those based in Alabama alone or anyone from the part of the world?
So usually you do your research on the accelerator program. Most accelerator programs will tell you what demography they are targeting. I'm not sure about the Alabama program. I don't know the thesis of investment that the managing director was given by sponsors. But most of these programs have their thesis and they would speak to them when working with you. So I know that, for instance, when one of my startups got into Techstars Atlanta, the reason why they invested in that, they asked us to apply and they accepted us, was because their sponsor was excited about agtech. I wanted to invest in agtech startups. And so investing in one from Africa was a no-brainer. But we turned out that we were the only startup from Africa that they accepted into that program. And that was because that particular sponsor wanted us. Every other person came from Atlanta. Right? So you need to do your research around the accelerator program. For instance, I gave another example of Techstars Toronto that had 2 classes. The first class will focus on 90% Canadian startups. The second class will focus on 50% African startups. Then it will focus on 20% global startups. Then it will focus on 20% or 30% Canadian startups. So look at the thesis of each class. They are unique. And look at what they are paying attention to in the next cohort. You can get that from the previous cohort you invested in and get some research done on that. So I don't know of the Alabama program, but if you do your research, you'll be able to know and tell.
Okay. Oluwamayowa at DBC also has a second question. He says, could you please talk about building empires?
Okay, so building empires, when I refer to that is, say you're building a startup, and usually it applies to maybe SMEs. You're building a startup and you want to create this, you start off with a vision that I want to build this into, so let me call it Onyeka and Sons startup. And what I'm focused on is I want to create a company that my children will come and work in. I want to create a company that I'll pass on to my children, right? And I'm doing that in a way where, so most businesses are fashioned that way, are built like SMEs. And when they are then raising money from investors, they raise money from patient capital investors or patient return investors. These are investors that are ready to give you the monies that you need to grow your business. I will not come back and be beating your neck for the next 10 years or 15 years. Allow you to just grow the business and they just have equity and they're staying with you for the long haul. So in doing that, when you are building that business, you are slower than the regular startups that are building to exit. You are taking your time. You're not taking so much money. In fact, some of them don't even take any money. And then you would have the grit and energy to withstand the storm that will come for the first 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, while your mates are maybe raising money and growing by 20x in the next 18 months to 2 years. You are using your own revenue to grow your business gradually. And so they have grown from 1 employee to 100 employees because they have the money to do, and they've expanded into many other markets. And you are just going from 1 to 10, while we are doing 1 to 100. So you're patient enough to use your revenue to grow it because you're looking at a long-term project. And so the investors you'll be speaking to are different from the one that is talking to the investors that want to invest and make their monies in 2 years. So that is, so I call it building an empire. It's a case of building for the long haul, building for posterity, building for you to pass down to generations. These kind of businesses are fashioned differently. And the mentality of the entrepreneur and founder is fashioned differently. Ideally, you shouldn't even be looking at getting into an accelerator program if that is what you're doing. Okay. Next question. Sorry, guys, what's the next question? Okay, let me check now. I just ran through the Techstars Accelerator release.
Please, can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
John, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. So this one is from David Henry Hughes. He says, I just ran through the Techstars Accelerator relative to water treatment engineering, and the program base is in Tuscaloosa, United States. Please, are there programs that allow the training to be done within the country? Nigeria.
So it's a question. So it's, like I said, you do your research, right? The Techstars has maybe about 30 accelerator programs and different programs in different parts of the world. There's a Techstars accelerator program right now in Lagos in Nigeria. I think it's the only one right now in Africa. There used to be one in South Africa in the past. And this is speaking to Techstars because I think you mentioned Techstars Accelerator as the key reference point. There are many other accelerator programs that exist. There's Techstars everywhere. That's a hybrid. It has a physical and virtual accelerator program you go through. There's a period when Techstars Toronto will tell you to come to Toronto. During COVID, Techstars Toronto ran 4 programs virtually, like virtually. In fact, let me use myself as an example. I went through Techstars Toronto, and the managing director of Techstars Toronto, I only saw him in person 2 years after I was done with the program. You know, so just because that period when we're going through, a lot of the programs went virtual at that time. Now, a lot of them are returning back to physical programs. So do your research on it and find out where the programs are located and whether they will require, some programs will tell you they need you to be there physically. Some will tell you you can go hybrid. Some will tell you it's completely virtual. So when you do your research, you will then know which one fits. But the water treatment one, I'm not sure about the program. There are over 30 programs, so I don't know each and every program. But if you just check, if you go into the program and check, I would have done that now, but for the sake of time, you go to the program and check, you will be able to see which one works well for you. Okay, in addition to
thank you, sir.
Okay,
please go on.
Emails just in case we have questions. Yes, so we can have those one-on-one sessions and we can have conversations. So if you use the info@WithOnyeka.com, you can book an appointment and we'll be able to go through those sessions with you. One of the things that has come out of this is also, I'm happy to provide a service for people that want to apply to a program. But before I do that, I have to first check your startup to know that it's going to be worth the time, putting energy to go through that application process. So I'm happy to do that. I'm also happy to review people's applications in the future. Those are stuff I've done in the past as well. All right. Does it matter if you're a founder and also employed? Will this affect the application? It doesn't affect your application. This is a question from Chibuzo. It doesn't affect your application that you're a founder and you're employed initially, but they will ask you the question in the interview. When are you going to commit to this idea 100%? Because investors will only invest in what you are 100% committed to. They don't want to put their money in something that you yourself as a founder, you have one leg in, one leg out. It means if this thing doesn't work, we're packing our things and we're running. Investors want to know that you are 100% committed to the idea. And so when you're applying, be honest to tell them that you're still employed and tell them why. Maybe you still have to put food on the table. If the application goes through and they invest in you, then okay, you will not have enough money to to go in 100%. So it doesn't affect it when you apply. But before you get into the program, they want to see your 100% in. If you're not, they may have to turn you down. Okay. I think we've taken all the questions on the chat. Kenneth, what's your question?
Okay, my first question is, what's the difference between incubation program? That's the first question. Then my second question is,
Sorry, I didn't hear the first question properly. The network
what's the difference between incubation program and accelerators program?
Okay.
Then the second one, I want to. Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the second one, I run an agri-tech media company. So what we basically do is we share stories and news articles around the agri-tech space. Do you think we could be able to get into accelerators program?
Okay, so to the first question, an incubator is just like what incubates. It's giving birth, right? It's forming, it's incubating. So an incubator program is ideally a place where the founders come together to create an idea and turn an idea into a product and turn that product into a business. Perfect incubators are Antler, Founders Institute, Entrepreneurs First. So the founders come together and they incubate and then they launch. But what we've seen is even the likes of Antler will get the founders to incubate, form the business and launch, then invest in you and accelerate you. Now, an accelerator, on the other hand, is that you've already launched the idea, you already have some traction, you already have something going for you. You want to now get into some kind of school or short course MBA program to understand other things around entrepreneurship that will help this your idea scale. And they will then do that with providing a network and providing the mentors and providing the resources to really help you scale on the idea. Sometimes you find accelerators behave like incubators. Sometimes you find incubators behave like accelerators. Sometimes you find one person doing both. But in an ideal world, an incubator helps the founders nurture an idea, launch it, and then take it out. Some accelerators, while accelerators focus on putting fuel into the fire that you have, the passion that you have for an idea and helping you to scale. The measure of the two, sometimes people do that as well. That's on the incubator and accelerator. So the second idea, any startup idea, as long as you are building something that has a technology element to it, that creates value for people, you have the opportunity to get into any accelerator program. It can be in ag tech, it can be in clean tech, it can be in energy tech, it can be in, as long as there's a technology element to it, and you are providing value for people through that technology you've created, which is maybe an application or a website or something that just uses technology to provide value for people. As long as you can show that you have technology to support what you have identified as a problem that you want to create solutions for, you can get into any accelerator. All right. Any other questions? I think our time is now up.
Yeah, I do have a question. Just
okay, Jeffrey, please go ahead.
All right.
Before your question, Jeffrey, before your question, can I ask for a favor? Let everybody just turn on their videos quickly and just wave. Let's take a quick picture. Let's take a quick picture. You can smile if you want to. Just, I appreciate. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone doing that. Thank you. So I'm taking the picture in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Shall I?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yes. Primary focus for this year, actually.
Jeffrey. Hello.
It's still here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
So
We
should
can
I
hear you
should I
now.
go now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Onyeka, can you hear?
I can hear you. Sorry
Okay.
about that. My network tripped. I'm going to log in 2 places so that in case it trips again, I will have a backup. Yeah, go ahead, Jeffrey.
Okay.
Okay, so I was saying our major focus for the year is to actually be prepared for Techstars, right? We have the I'm currently talking to. Okay, so what I realized, this is my second startup, right? But what I realized from one of the lessons I learned from the previous one was that the role of mentorship is important, or is very, very how do I put it now? You can't put a price tag on it, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I've learned from many of the founders I'm currently talking to have been that we have to, because of the current climate, we have to generate cash to an extent monthly to apply to accelerators. So not just traction in terms of users now, but cash flow.
Okay.
So but the mistake we made last year when we built the first MVP was that our model was to generate traction and not necessarily monetize our users immediately. So what we're trying to do now is get traction or prepare ourselves to get traction. And so we're currently raising a current round, right? Or a bridge round, and we're seeking angels. But what I realized from talking to a lot of them is I start conversations, they get very interested, they make offers, but for some reason, some of them go quiet. Right, they go quiet. After making offers, I've sent subscription form to some, I've gotten term sheets, about 3 of them, right? Now, only one person is still kind of like talking to me consistently. And I understand that some of them might still be building stuff of theirs. I may have priorities. Priorities change per time. But it's not like any of them come back to say, I'm no longer investing. They just go quiet. I'm trying to understand why that happens.
So it's a very good question. And in all honesty, it's a very interesting space we're in. I've come to see that there's serious cash crunch. And a lot of these guys, there are a lot of what I'll call zombie investors right now everywhere. People that don't have money to invest, but are still talking with founders as though they have money to invest. And once they get to the term sheet level, a lot of funds are backing out. A lot. Some of them do that. So you have to bear in mind that when a venture capitalist wants to invest in a startup, I'll speak about this more in the next class, which is next week. Venture capitalists position themselves in front of so they have their own investors that invest in them.
Yeah.
And sorry, the word has skipped my head. So those investors that invest in them,
High value individuals.
so it's not high value individuals, but there's a word that is used for LPs, yes, limited partners. So they have LPs. So high value individuals, family offices, universities, these are people, donor organizations, large foundations. These are LPs that bring their funds to give to venture capitalists, who then take that fund over a 7-year window to want to invest in startups that they hope will give a decent return over most times it's a 7-year window for a fund. So they raise that fund and they invest. Now, when a venture capitalist is raising funds, just like you, the founder, you need to have traction. So the venture capitalist needs to show some traction. And sometimes in showing that traction, they're looking for startups that they can invest small capital in and show that they are doing their work, right? So that we can show the LPs that this is what we are doing. When it's time, we need your money so we can show that we can do more of what we're already doing. Now, what has happened in recent times is these venture capitalists, some of them will start talking to you and get you to the point where they've done due diligence and they've come up with the term sheet. But the LP all of a sudden is holding back. So they were having that conversation with you with the mindset that they will get money from the LP and they will invest in you. All of a sudden, the LP is now slowing down. The venture capitalist then goes cold. The ones that are responsible will come back and tell you. I've been in that scenario. Last year, I think around July, there was a particular VC. Due diligence done. Everything happened. They've now even started preparing term sheet. The day I was supposed to now come and collect term sheet, I started hearing stories. Then one of the partners then took me to side and said, see, what is really happening is we don't have money. The money that we thought we were going to have, the LP did not release it. Or number two, the LP will tell you, refocus on AI, refocus on clean tech. Don't do anything in this sector again. So you will see some VCs will not have the courage to come and tell you. Some of them will genuinely, especially those you've built a relationship with, and that's where relationship counts, will tell you, in that case that happened with me, the person after telling me this then referred me to other VCs that they felt were active. So that's usually what happens, especially when you got to the point where you've reached term sheet level and then they go cold. This is what usually happens. Another thing again you should pay attention to is that try to check what stage the fund is at. Did they just close their fund? It means they are very active. Are they people that have been investing for the last 3 years? It means they will be slowing down and trying to see whether the early ones they invested in are bringing returns. They may not want to be investing in you, but will rather want to be doubling down on the ones they've invested in the initial phase. Are they in the exit part of their fund? You shouldn't be talking to them. You're wasting your time. If they're in the exit part of their fund, even if they are there talking to you, you've seen that this fund, they've been doing it for the last 5 years. Last time they announced that they closed their fund. That's not the time to be talking to them. They will not invest in you at that point in time until they close a new fund. Well, I'll talk, like I said, I'll talk more about this next week on funding.
All right, thank you.
All right. All right, guys, we've gone over the time. It's just exactly 2 hours now. I really appreciate you all for the time. I know time ran really fast. I'm hoping this was good for you. What I want to do at this point is ask you for any reviews or feedback based on the session. But more importantly, if you can, especially on fundraising, if you can join the next session, it's going to be slightly longer than this. We'll go through the art of fundraising, how closing funds and pitching to investors and how to position for that. If you have friends that you think will be good for them to benefit from that, please make sure you register. And we only send the link to people that have registered. I don't mind to come into the room and there's only one person I have to speak to if the person followed the process of registering. So the art of fundraising also will see me where, so for the people that have been engaging me, some of them have done so in a place where I go into contractual agreements with them to help them on their fundraising efforts. So I think after the art of fundraising, that whole thing will come into play. And then also the classes that will be like pre-recorded classes around different topics, fundraising, pivoting, those things will be done afterwards. But I look forward to meeting you all next week. And the sessions are still free for now. So take advantage of it. And then, yeah, if you have reviews that we can record now, I think it'd be great. If anyone can give a review or a video, we'll just make you the highlights and then record it. And we can use this on social media in the future. So if anyone, you just say your name, you say where you're calling from, and just talk about the session and what you think about it. And we'll keep a record of it. Okay, thank you. Mr. Davison wants to give one. So I think I'll just highlight you now. And yeah, please go ahead. You're mute.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Oluwamayo Adebisi, and I'm currently in Ilesha, but our office is based in Abuja. So this class has really been wonderful, and I've been following you for a while now. Thank you very much for all you're doing for the sector. And when I got to know about this class, I was like, no, at all costs. And the value I've gotten in this class is like really massive, and definitely I'll be there for. I would ensure I bring some of my friends to the next class. Thank you very much once again. Really appreciate this.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right. Is there any other review? If not, then I'll hand over to the team. All right, guys. Joy Onyi.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask for what the what do you call it now? What the password was used for Zogad mandates.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2024 at.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, guys. So I'll see you all next week. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
All right then. Bye-bye. Thank you, Kenneth. Bye-bye.